Ezekwesili. Why do we still have children working in our homes? That's our question for today. Why do we still have children working in our homes? We all know by now that child labor is wrong. Having children who are under 18 working in our houses as, quote, house helps is illegal. But it still happen. In fact, today's big hard fact is that according to the International Labour Organization, at least 43% of Nigerian children are trapped in forced labor. At least 43% of Nigerian children are trapped in child labor. According to the International Labour Organization, 43%. That's almost half. I give you a lot of statistics here on Hard Facts, but I think maybe that this one is the scariest one, for me anyway. Almost 1 out of every 2 Nigerian children is being forced to work. But it gets worse. Not only are these children forced to work, not only are they not paid, but they're also abused. We hear about them getting beaten, being tortured, being starved, being neglected, being raped. Sometimes they're killed. And we just move along like say, And so? Last week I brought you the story of Chinonye. Chinonye is 10 years old. She was living with a relative. And this happened to her. In Enugu have arrested a woman for grievously injuring a 10-year-old with a hot iron and nails. The girl was living with the woman named Ifeoma Ezugu as a child slave. People are calling her a house help, but children are not allowed by law to work. So she was a child slave. And for whatever reason, Ezugu got angry with this little girl, 10-year-old girl, and burned her all over her body with an electric iron. If you're watching on Facebook now, you're seeing pictures of this girl's skin. And Ezugu did not stop there. She took 2 nails and drilled them into the girl's head. Nails, ntu, building tool, drilled them right in her skull. Again, if you're watching on Nigeria Info 99.3 on Facebook, on Nigeria Info FM on YouTube, you can see pictures of the innocent little girl with her injuries. And that was last week. I said that on the show last week, one of the big 3 stories. And one of you called into the show, Kunle, and he said something that I found very instructive. Here's what he said.
Concerning the lady who is maltreating the girl, unfortunately, many people have people like this that they have in homes. Probably people that have called you have child slaves. If we check within our communities, you would see lots of people like this. If you go to churches, you will see people bringing people who are even, lesser in age than their own kids, using them as helps. It does not make any sense. They go to church, they blame the government, but it's man in humanity to man. We are very wicked people. And so if you check very well, you see many people who have called you who abuse the people who they've told that they want to come and help, and they brought them from their village or their cousins' children or family members' children, and they've turned them to literal slaves. Things that they can't even allow their kids who are much more older do. They do it. But if it's to abuse, means they'll be the first ones. If to see where other people are doing wrong, they'll be the first ones. So let's look inwards. Because if we, as people, can check out. If I have a cousin who is doing it and I can check him, it will reduce. If I have a brother who is doing it and I can check him, but we can call the radio and complain. That person is someone's sister. That person is someone's brother. The husband is also complicit because he can't sit down at home and say, such is going on in this house without knowing. We have friends, we have colleagues who do all sorts of things like this. Please, let's check ourselves. Thank you.
Kunle last week on the show when we talked about this on the Big Three, and he said most people who called me on that day, because a lot of people called, oh, that woman is wicked. Let them drill nail into her own head too. Let them, let them. But Kunle said most of the people who called me to say what that woman said, what that woman is doing is bad, are also doing similar things. Maybe they're not drilling nails into the heads of the children who are living with them. Maybe they're not burning them with iron. Maybe they're not putting pepper in their vagina or on their penis. But they're doing terrible things to the children that are living with them as well. Because see, I want you and I to have a real conversation. Like, let's be real. If 43% of children in Nigeria are forced into labor, it's not just one or two adults forcing them. It's at least 1/3 of Nigerian adults. At least. If I'm being charitable, 1 in 5 Nigerian adults. So every 5 people who are listening to me right now, one of them has a child working at home. For every 5 people who will call into the show today, one of them has a child working in their house. So let's be real. Let's have a real conversation. I'm not looking for you to call me and condemn it. I don't want you to call me and say, oh, it's very bad. Yes, we all agree it's very bad. We agree. Let's talk about why it's still happening. A lot of us are doing it. So let's assume that we are all guilty, okay? Okay? So as you call me, don't try and tell me how bad it is. Oh, that woman in Enugu, she's yes, I agree with you. Okay, okay. Let's move on. Why are people still doing it? 43% of our children. That's almost 50%. It remains 7, you go reach 50. You remain like that's a high number. That means it's something that is happening all over the country. Even law-abiding, otherwise decent people have children working for them. They're not drilling nails into their heads. They're not rubbing pepper on their privates. They're not burning them with iron. But they have children working for them. They have children taking care of their children. Law-abiding Nigerians who call and insult the government, who say that this country, oh, where are we going? Oh, God will help us. They have children working in their houses. And if we want it to stop, we need to have an honest conversation. We need to have an open conversation. We need to have a real conversation about why it is happening, so that we can know how to tackle the problem. 0700-993-993. Why do people bring children to work in their homes instead of hiring an adult? Obviously, most Nigerians believe it's perfectly okay to have a child as a house help. Why is that? When people hear me or the government or the NGOs say that child labor is not okay, why don't they agree that child labor is not okay? I want to get to the bottom of this. I want us to have an honest conversation. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. Our studio number is 0700-993-993. Tom is in Okokomaiko. Hello, Tom.
Good evening, Madam Sandra.
Good evening, Mr. Tom.
Yeah, the point is that I looked at it as poverty.
Okay.
Because poverty and you just decided to have birth to children you cannot take care of.
Okay.
If it is only one, give birth to that child. There is no need of having 20, 30, and somebody will come and say, I need one or I need two.
Okay.
That is just the solution to it. If you can, anything you want to do it to a place that is, I could be able to take care of this, and that is all.
Yeah,
Thank you, madam.
All right, thank you, Tayo, for calling. But sorry, Tom. But Tom addressed one side of the problem, not the other side. So he addressed the people who have a lot of children, Abby. How about the people who go to get the children from the people who have a lot of children? Because if a person has a lot of children, but nobody is coming to them to take their children to go and Baudibo in the city, it wouldn't matter that you have a football field, a football team. Now you go train your football team by yourself. So is that the reason? Is that why? Because that's the question I'm asking. Why? Why do people bring children to work in their homes instead of hiring an adult? Hello, Amanze.
Good afternoon, Sandra.
Thanks for calling.
You're welcome. I feel that people don't want to use adults because they will not bend to some of their demands or the working outlines. Because adult knows what he wants and what he or she would do. So if you're trying to suppress or intimidate them, they can easily tell you no and easily walk away. Okay? But for our children or, let us say, adolescents, they are naive.
Okay.
They can be able to speak up even when they want to say no, but you feel probably they can just keep quiet not to get the lashes out there about.
Okay.
So intimidations and all that is why some of these children submit to their auntie, niece, uncle, whatever wishes, and that is very, very bad. And again, you cannot take away poor parenting, hunger, and all that out of the whole thing. People want to tell their family of the person who want to bring the child, they want to train them in school and all that, and end up using them for slave work and all that. So many factors could be reason why these things continue to go on. But if we tell ourselves as a good Nigerian, a good citizen that want to help the development of this country, the change, like they say, begins with me. So if I decide, no, I'm not going to use any child maid in my house. Presently, I don't have any child maid in my house. So I and my wife does everything together, and we're okay with it. We schedule our time. If I come back to work, and probably she's not yet back, I go to the kitchen, I do the kitchen things on the chores there. Even the clothes too, I help her out once in a while, but not all the time. That's when she's not around. And when she's around, I help her. If she's tired, I go to the kitchen and cook. So anything a child will want to do, I can do it myself. You know, if I don't want to use an adult, I'll be ready to pay for the money. I'll be ready to write, have people write their, there's nothing wrong for them to write their application letter for a job. It's a job anyway.
It is.
So we will not sit down, yes, and pay. But if you cannot afford it, most people don't want to pay and don't want to help Nigerians or to create employment for other people to benefit. They try to go for cheap labor where they can use the person and use and dump. And that is too bad. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you, Amanze, for calling me. All right, Lagos, if you just joined the show, hello. We're having a real conversation today. We're having an honest conversation today. I'm asking you why we continue to have Nigerian adults who employ the labor of children. I told you 43% of Nigerian children are trapped in forced labor. So if there are 5 people listening to the show, at least one of them has a child in their house. I've had at least 3 people call me on the show today. By the time the 5th person calls into the show, at least one of the people who has called me so far has a child in their house. And so that's why I'm asking you, why? We all agree it's bad. We all agree it shouldn't be happening. But it's still happening. Why? Someone has called and said people are not giving birth to the amount of children they can take care of. Another person has called and said it's poverty. Another one has called and said it's because people want to be able to control the children and it's more difficult to control adults. And we have Amanze who has called and gave his own points as well. Let me talk to Ade. Let's hear what Ade has to say.
Okay.
Ade, hello.
Hello?
Thanks for calling.
Yes. The reason why we still have housemaid children, because many parents, they have children.
Oh, no, that's quite sad. Ade, call me back if you can, okay? All right, then. 99.3. Turn your radio off.
Hello?
What's your name? Oh, no. Sorry about that. Okay. Call back if you can, okay? Why do people bring children to work in their homes instead of hiring an adult? 0700 993 993 993. I'm talking about law-abiding Nigerians. Good Christians, good Muslims, good traditional worshippers, good people who don't believe in God. But these people, very decent, have children working for them instead of an adult. Why? Why? Hello, Dick Coyote.
Hello, good evening, Sandra. This is Kari from Paja.
Good evening, Coyote.
Yeah. The problem, we should also ask the question, why do people need somebody to help them in their house? If you look at marriages today, the husband is working, the wife is working, there's somebody in the house. You say, husband stay at home, wife go and work, there's a problem. Wife stay at home, husband go and work, there's a problem. But I noticed that personally, I don't have househelp. I talked to my wife before we got married. I'm not going to bring in anybody to help us to work in this house. It's either you go and work, maybe salary, me I work, I have personal work, which I did. I work on my own. She's working as a paid employment. And if I'm not at home, she is at home. If she's not at home, I'm at home. And I think this should be the real sense of it. Look, it is happening. Unless what we would do is that let government have a registered house help. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say that, but let it be adults, register people that will sign contracts with them. So things, so period. And that will be that also can bring about sanity into this particular issue.
So to understand what you're saying, Kayode, this is happening.
Yes.
This is happening because both the woman and the man are working, and so nobody has time to do the house chores or take care of children if there are children, right?
Exactly.
But why not use adults for that role? Why use children?
That's what I'm saying. They shouldn't be using children. I'm not saying you should use children.
Yeah, I know. We both agree that they shouldn't be using children. My question is, why use children instead of adults? That's the topic. Why use children instead of adults?
Sandra, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something again. Even while I've discussed with my wife, my elder brother called me that one of his own children is coming to stay with us, and I said no. There are many in Nigeria today that even they are not just ordinary people, they are family members. They will send their children to go and live with another family. If they will be begging, please take one. And in that case, you say it's the family member, but they will be maltreating him or her. They're right there. Even the parent will not say, bring my child back because we can't even care for this child. My older brother asked me, I said, no. So my wife.
All right, we lost the connection to Kayode, but thanks for calling me. Because like I said, when we started talking about this thing, all of us condemn it. All of us, we condemn it. So I don't need you to call me and tell me, oh, it's very bad. This is what government needs to do. We know what government needs to do. We all condemn it. Why does it continue to happen? If 43% of Nigerian children, 43%, that's almost half of Nigerian children, are in people's houses doing work. It's no big ghosts they employ them. Now people like you. Now people like me. Why? Not only are these children forced to work, they are not paid for the work, they're also abused. A lot of them are getting beaten. A lot of them are getting raped. A lot of them are being tortured. A lot of them are being starved, neglected. Sometimes they're even killed. 43% in child labor. Don't come and condemn it. It's condemnable. I've already said that for you. I want to know why it continues to happen. If it's happening all over the country, at least 1 in 5 adults are complicit. Why do we go for children instead of adults? We need to get to the root of the problem, and the root of the problem is that we keep going to children instead of adults. Why? Tunde, hello.
Yeah, hello.
Thanks for calling.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. Well, I personally feel that the reason why we have this problem is because there are no laws that actually enforce the child's right in our country.
Okay.
Of course, all the child rights laws in the country, but they are not enforced. And as a result, we have all these kind of things happening. So, I personally question that statistics are 42%, because 42% is a lot. But, well, I guess those that did the research know where they got their numbers from.
Do you go to church? Do you go to church?
I do.
Do you look around in church and see the number of children who are taking care of children? Because you always know which one is the house help.
Well?
You're laughing. Well, 43% is a lot.
It is quite a lot still.
Yes, but look around you.
Oh?
Do you go to eateries? Do you go to eateries? Do you go to the beach? Do you go to places where families come? You always know which one is a house help. And it's typically a child. A child minding other children. Why?
Quite unfortunate, really. But I think the laws need to be enforced. The government has to be... The government and, of course, the people also. Well, if the people see that laws are being enforced, I'm sure a lot of people start speaking out and saying, fine.
Yeah, but government enforcing is going far. I'm trying to get to the bottom of the why. Why do we prefer to go for children instead of adults?
When there is no law, there's no sin.
When there's no law, he says. You're listening to 99.3 Nigeria Info. I am Sandra Ezekwesili. We're talking on hard facts. And today, why do we still have children working in our homes? That's the conversation we're having. Why do we still have children working in our homes? 0700 993 993 993. There's WhatsApp, of course. WhatsApp is 080 959 75805. Emeka from Satellite says people use children to work for them because they can control them. Again, they don't want to get an adult who may seduce their wife or their husband, as the case may be. They also do it because poverty gave them the opportunity, which they take advantage of in the name of helping the child. Overall, poverty is the cause, because if majority are comfortable, no parent will agree to give their children out. But that's the thing, you still have these children being raped by the people that employ them. So if it's about, and then you still have somebody accusing the other, typically the women accusing the child of seducing their husband, not the husband of being unable to not rape a child, it's the child seducing the adult. So if seduction is the thing, and we still have a high number of house helps who have been raped by their oga or their madam, maybe that excuse should fly out the window. Maybe that excuse should tell us that person we want sleep with house help, go sleep with house help. It's nothing the house help did. It's the choice that the person who made a vow to keep their marriage bed holy failed to keep. Baba Tunde, hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Welcome. You're live on the show. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think the reason why people prefer taking children as house help than adults is two things. One, the taking children as an house help is against the law. It's child abuse on its own. Okay. Then maybe some people prefer because of the cost implication. They know they will pay less for the children than employing an adult as a house help. Secondly, having an adult as an house help could link to either because of the fear of unknown. Either if they employ adults, the adult can come up one day working against his employer, so to say. So, as a result of that, people may be feared that when you employ an adult as your house help, it may come up at the end of the day, be the one that will invited outsider to know what is happening within their home. So for this reason, they may prefer to have the children as their house help and probably because of the cost implication, they may not be able to afford the cost which the adults want to take from them. I think those are the reasons behind
why this is
why
happening.
some people going for a children help than go for the
Adult. All right, Babatunde, thanks for calling. So Babatunde thinks people are suspicious, people are wary that adults may compromise the security of their home, and then you have those who also cannot afford to pay for the adults to do the work. Engineer Mike says, my father had 7 of us as children living in the family house. We lived alone in our family house. However, at every point in time, we had at least 6 other family members who lived with us, like his own children, who were being trained in school too by my father. My father ensured that everything we had, these people who stayed with us also had the same. My father is 80 years old now, and he has 2 girls, 12 and 16, who stay with him as help, and they're being trained in school as well. All these people were brought to my father by their parents themselves to be assisted. Is this wrong too? You're making me feel really guilty right now, Engineer Mike from Surulere. Engineer Mike, I don't have the answers. I'm just asking the questions. These children in your house, were they doing the work? Because there's a difference between foster children and child labor. So the thing you've described to me right now sounds like foster parenting. It sounds to me like what your father did is something that happens in a lot of countries where children who live in like abusive homes, for instance, are mopped up by the system and put into homes of willing parents who will take care of them until they're old enough to take care of themselves. So in some Nigerian families, that's what happens, or that's what's supposed to happen. Now, as a foster parent, the child that you're supposed to be fostering, you're supposed to treat like your own child. You understand? You're supposed to make sure that you're not giving that child more work than your own biological children will do. You're supposed to make sure that that child is eating the same things and enjoying the same things that your biological children are enjoying. So that means that they are playing when your biological children are playing. That means if your biological children have phones, they have phones. If your biological children are going to good schools, they're going to good schools too. So all of the things that your own children, your biological children are entitled to, these children who you've brought to foster enjoy the same things. But if that child in your house is doing more work than your own children, and is doing that work from morning until night, no rest time, if that child has no time to play, cannot make friends, cannot be in touch with their family, is basically living, don't make me spell it out, the things that that child is doing in your house, that if you dey honest with yourself, you go know, say, okay, if na another person picking. A good way to know, a good way to test is if my child was living in somebody else's house, would I want them to treat my child the way I'm treating the child in my house? Don't hesitate, just answer inside yourself, yes or no. That's the answer to the question of whether you should feel guilty about this conversation. The child living in my house, I'm helping them. Their family is poor. They brought the child for me to assist. If my own child were in somebody else's house because I want them to assist, and they were treating my own child the way I am treating this child in my house, would that be okay? That's the test. It's 29 minutes to 6. You're listening to Sandra Ezekwesili on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Hard Facts will be right back. Welcome back to Hard Facts.
Why do we still have children working in our homes? Today's big hard fact is that 43% at least of Nigerian children are trapped in forced labor. According to the International Labour Organization, at least 43% of Nigerian children are trapped in forced labor. This is Nigeria Info. You're listening to Hard Facts. I am Sandra Ezekwesili. And we had a caller last week who said something that I found very instructive. If you listened at the beginning of the show, you heard what he said. If you didn't, I'm going to play it after this conversation I have with Kenneth. Hello, Kenneth. Welcome. Kenneth, hello. Are you there? Oh, no, Kenneth isn't there. Well, Kunle called me last week when I broke the story of a woman who drilled nails into the head of her 10-year-old house slave. And Kunle said this.
Concerning the lady who is maltreating the girl, unfortunately, many people have people like this that they have in homes. Probably people that have called you have child slaves. If we check within our communities, you would see lots of people like this. If you go to churches, you will see people bringing people who are even, lesser in age than their own kids, using them as helps. It does not make any sense. They go to church, they blame the government, but it's man in humanity to man. We are very wicked people. And so if you check very well, you see many people who have called you who abuse the people who they've told that they want to come and help, and they brought them from their village or their cousins' children or family members' children, and they've turned them to literal slaves. Things that they can't even allow their kids who are much more older do. They do it. But if it's to abuse government, they'll be the first ones. If to see where other people are doing wrong, they'll be the first ones. So let's look inward. Because if we, as people, can check ourselves, if I have a cousin who is doing it and I can check him, it will reduce. If I have a brother who is doing it and I can check him, but we can call the radio and complain. That person is someone's sister. That person is someone's brother. The husband is also complicit because he can't sit down at home and say, such is going on in this house without knowing. We have friends, we have colleagues who do all sorts of things like this. Please, let's check ourselves. Thank you.
And that was last week. That's what Kunle said on the show last week. And today, I'm asking that we be real, right? Because if 43% of children are in forced labor, it's not just one or two adults forcing them. It must be at least 1/3 of Nigerian adults. All of us know somebody who is using a child. Either we know somebody or we're using a child ourselves. So today we're not condemning it. We're not saying, oh, it's very bad. We agree, it's bad. Why is it still happening? Let's assume that we're all guilty. Let's assume all of us are doing it. When you call me, don't try and tell me how bad it is or how you would never do it. Okay. Just tell me why people are still doing it. 43%. Something is like this is happening all over the country. How come? Why? Emmanuel, hello. Sorry about that. Call me back if you can, okay? We've got, who's this person now? I wish I could type faster, so I'll see who it is. But I'll just take the call. Hello.
Let's start.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah. Actually, I really love the topic that you are treating. This thing happened to me when I was a kid.
Okay.
They came to my family to pick me up. They said that we are going to train me in school.
Okay.
Because I lost my father when I was just 12. So the woman came to my village to pick me and my two sisters.
Okay.
They were twins,
Okay.
So they promised heaven and earth. We got to the Lagos. So along the line, because she said I was going to tell me, like I said. So we got to Lagos. After like 2 years, I stopped going to the market because the school is already gone. Nobody is talking about that one. So I was like, okay, now let me now serve. Since maybe after everything, then they will now settle me.
Okay.
So along the line, this woman started taking me to her side. I became a laborer. I would pack granite, sand. It's like that was a day that my chest was paining me. I told her that I couldn't do the work. She said that I must do it. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, she said that I must do it. I told her that my chest is paining me. She said no, that I must do it. So after staying 5 years with her, that is how the woman discharged me. The only reason that she used against me was because there was a day that one midnight like that, because I'm still a child then, so they were cooking. When they were cooking, so someone knocked at the gate. I went to the gate to open the door. So they told me that your Uncle Chukwudi, because one of his son's name is Chukwudi. So they said that your Uncle Chukwudi is at the gate, go and open gate for him. So I have that in mind that, like, okay, it's my uncle that is knocking. So I never knew that there were an armed robber,
Okay.
When I opened the gate, so the armed robbers came in. So they surrendered it because when I opened the gate, when I saw gun on their hand, I started running.
Okay.
There were three with arms,
Okay.
So I started running. Unfortunately, thank God they didn't shoot me. They didn't shoot anybody.
Okay.
But they stole the woman's money.
Okay.
That was about 3 million naira then. So they stole the money. So when she now discharged me, I now met her for my settlement. She said that that did I open gate that that my hand is I don't know how she put that in.
That you connived with the armed robbers to rob the house.
Thank you. Thank you. So that is how the woman discharged me. I know that some of you saw maybe listening to this program. Maybe they were hearing me. My name is Onyekachi. They should wait for me. I'm still coming for them. It's not over yet. Because my mother is very poor in the village.
Okay.
My mother is very poor, and that is the reason why they took that advantage of us. So I know that they are hearing this thing. So the only thing I want to say on this thing is just wickedness. Anybody that is calling to say whatever that person is saying is a lie. It's wickedness, because when you look at their own sons and daughters, they don't treat them that way. So it's just pure wickedness. We are just being wicked of ourselves. So like, it's unfair. It's
Hello?
so harmonious or something like that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So that is it.
All right. Well, thank you
So
for calling.
maybe if you can handle this program next week, I can still call if I can be able to get through.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling and sharing your story with me. And I'm terribly sorry that you experienced that. Wow. Okay. Our number is 0700-993-993-993. We've got Anonymous on the line. Hello.
Yes, Promisella. All right.
All right. Welcome, Anonymous.
Thank you. Please, being who we are, the society has given room for such acts to take place.
Okay.
Because in a Western country, I don't think there is something like housemaid, children or what. You employ nanny or whatever who works for you, and you pay the person. It's an employee, you employ the person.
That's right.
It happened to me. My own, why I want to remain on my own is my own biological sister.
Okay.
My own biological sister.
Okay.
So, yeah. So it took me, I stayed at least 2 years without enrolling me into secondary school, because then I have finished my primary school before coming or relocating to stay with her.
Okay.
Took me there. She just got married with the husband. I stayed with them 2 years. So it's not that my parents are people who love education so much. They couldn't stand it, because they were giving excuses that it's public school. They were giving excuses that they need this one, they need the other one, they do this thing. I don't have, giving different excuses to justify why they didn't enroll me into. I stayed in their house 2 years. They didn't enroll me. I have to miss as in 2 sections or what. So my parents, being people who love education, couldn't take it. They took me back, and I started all over again. But the funniest thing, I thank God, the funniest thing today, the same person I give her money. My niece and nephews, I give them money. God has blessed me, my little. I'm okay. They come to me and I give them money. So I was also abuse,
victim
and
of
it's
this.
a story. It's a story for me. It's a story for me. I thank God my parents were there for me. When we are talking about children whom their parents might be that very poor, who could not even take care of them or what. My father told my mother that if you know you cannot take care of a housemaid the way you are taking care of us, you better do not bring any housemaid because he will not tolerate it. You better don't bring it as long as you will not treat your housemaid the way. And that thing we have learned that lesson wherever we are. Even me, I'm married now. I've told my wife I have a kid. Instead of this housemaid of 18 or what, let's just have this one kid. Let's until we are ready and we have planned ourselves ready to welcome another one. For now, let's go, housemaid because I don't want any children or any child to be maltreated. And mostly, let me be clear. I don't know now. I want you to look into it. Is it mostly women or men who maltreat more? Please, that's something else we'll have to look into. Please.
Okay, thank you for calling, Anonymous. It doesn't even matter who is wielding the whip, so to speak. If it's more women who maltreat, I think it's actually more women who maltreat their maids than men. With men, you often find rape. With women, you find actual sadistic things, beating, corporal punishment, bodily injury. With men, you find rape, sometimes beating. But what I say is that, yes, one person is carrying the stick or carrying the iron or carrying the wire or carrying the pepper, but the other person is aware that it's going on and they're pretending that they're not aware. Because when you come home, you see the scars on the child's body. You don't ask questions. You mind your business. You're complicit. Yes, you did not carry the stick by yourself, but you might as well have. And you see, all the points that people have been calling to make makes me want to talk about willing buyer, willing seller. That's what's happening here. Willing buyer, willing seller. Yes, I use the words buyer and seller because a lot of the time that's what we're doing. Somebody is selling their children to a buyer. Because think about it, even when the people who use child labor pay, they pay the parents or the guardians that gave the child away, not the child. Willing buyer, willing seller. You have parents who say, since we cannot take care of these children, let's send them to somebody who can. They know that the children will be used for labor. They know. They just hope that the child will still get a better life than they would at home. They hope that the people who are using the child for labor will also send the child to school to give her a chance at life. Of course, most of the time, this doesn't happen. Willing buyer, willing seller. Why do so many Nigerians want to buy child labor? Why do you want to buy children? Stephanie, hello.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for calling.
Yes. Life is hard. Life is difficult. I lost my parents. I was very small. I think less than 5 years, if I can remember vividly. I live with my auntie, my own auntie, my dad's younger sister. Sandra, it is hell. A woman I served for more than 10 years. In fact, a woman I lived my life with. Sandra, it was terrible. As if I was picked from the street. As if I don't even relate to her. It was her. The whole part of it, I begged for education. This woman could not give me. Time for her to carry me to school, she sent for my elder sister that was married less than 15 years to bring money for me to go to school. My elder sister came, there was no money. I started looking for money. I love education. I wanted education. Behold, someone helped me, 7,000 naira. In 2008, I went and did registration. The money was not complete. I started school. Now, school fees, she never paid my school fees for one day. It was neighbors. To the extent I have to pack. And this is a woman, if I come back from school, I will go and take care of her business, her beer parlor business. I will cook for her husband. I will wash her husband's clothes, her child. I do all the work from the house. Yet she could not pay my school fees. I have to pack out of the house, run to my elder brother in the village. My elder brother said, okay, stay here. But I told him, if I stay with you, you don't have money to send me to school. Let me go back and look for somewhere to stay. Let me beg my friend and stay in their house. Let her sister accommodate so that I can be staying there and be going to school so that you will not be paying my school fees. My elder brother agreed. I went back, I stayed with those people, I stayed in their house. My elder brother don't have a work, no money, no school fees. That is how after school I'll go and look for work, sell recharge card, and save money and pay my school fees. That is how I paid my school fees from that secondary school. Finish, I register my WAEC myself with my money, my sweat. I left.
Hello, Stephanie? Stephanie, are you there? Oh no, we lost the connection to Stephanie. Stephanie, I'm terribly grateful that you called to share your experience with me on the show. It's quite the thing. It really is. It's quite the thing. And it's a question we all need to ask ourselves. Because I know that raising children is difficult, especially when, you and your husband are working. Raising children, doing the chores, very difficult. And so you need help. A lot of people need help. But if you must have help, why not have adult help? Why buy a child? Everywhere in the world, people need people who will work in the house for them, who will do housework for them. That's why the job of housekeeper exists. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why the job of personal chef exists. That's why janitors and gardeners and nannies exist. In saner countries, somebody called and said that you pay adults to do those jobs. Even here in Nigeria, there are lots of adults that are willing to do that work. All the time, I have people, madam, make I come clean your house. Madam, make I come cook for you. Madam, make I do this. And sometimes I say, okay, come. They clean my house, I'll pay them to do it. And they go. There are people who are willing, adults who are willing. But we don't hire the adults. Why? We've heard the different people who have called into the show and given us the reasons why. Some other people say it's because we want to save money. It's cheaper to get a child from her parents and promise that you send that child to school and you never do it than to pay a monthly salary to an adult. Country hard. So again, we're back to willing buyer, willing seller. Plus that Nigerian instinct to cheat. That Nigerian instinct to exploit. Some people called and said it's wickedness. And while all of this is happening, where's the government? Where are the police? Where is the Ministry of Youth? 43% of our children being exploited, and government seems not to be paying attention. Maybe it's because the people in government are Nigerians like the rest of us, and so they don't see child labor as a problem. In fact, maybe most of them have child slaves in their houses as well. Or they know somebody who does. So the big question is, how do we end the problem of willing buyer, willing seller? And the inaction of government. How do we end it? What needs to be done? What needs to change so that parents can stop selling their children? Poverty will not go away. There will always be poor people. We will always be poor people. In the next 10 years, Nigeria will not be out of poverty. We're not doing the things right now that will pull us out of poverty in the next 10 years. So does that mean that for the next 10 years, we're going to continue to see children as house helps? Every other week, we're going to hear stories of one child or the other who has faced some untold hardship in the hands of her madam or her oga or his madam or his oga. What needs to change? How do we stop exploiting other people's children? Because that one no be government something. That one are me and you. You are the one who's exploiting other people's children. How does that end? What needs to change for the police and the government to start doing their job and seriously crack down on child labor in every home? I've got a message from Bibi in Abidjan who says, Sandra, because these people who take them want cheap labor. They promised their parents that they would pay school fees for them, take good care of them. But because they take these children far away from their homes where the child cannot find their way home, many or most of these women treating children received that same treatment from other women that they lived with. Sandra, I called the uncle of this girl and I learned that the woman used wood with nails to hit her on the head. Not that the woman drilled the nail into her head. Otherwise, that girl can hardly be alive. I'm sad you didn't pick my call. Bibi, I'm sad that I didn't pick your call either. We've got this person who says, Sandra, the reason people use children is because they are looking for cheap labor. Jide from my bedroom. Jide, thanks for the truth. We've got Queen Esther who says, adult house helps are maltreated. I know one of the girls who works until 2 p.m. and she's still not taking breakfast. The truth of the matter is that we don't treat people equally. That one is a different conversation for a different day. The issue of child help in homes can be traced to poverty. Syndicates that now make profit from hiring children as far as Cotonou. The idea of not using adults, male or female, is because when a female adolescent is brought in, the woman will start suspecting amorous affairs with her husband, while the man may be suspecting amorous affairs between his wife and an adult male maid. Besides, the couple will also not be able to cheat them or force them to do silly things. This is a message from Ejere here in Lagos. Ejere, thanks for sending your message in. But we also have adults who rape the children that are working for them, and you still have the madams that blame the oga. That blames the child. Says the child seduced my husband. Not that my husband is a wandering prick. Not that my husband cannot control himself. Not that my husband is a disgusting pedophile. Is that the child seduced your husband. So in things like voting, children are not old enough to vote. They're not old enough to drink. Hey, child. But once it comes to sex, oh no, she seduced my husband. Funny. We've got another message here from Kevin in Shasha who says, this practice has a cultural and traditional foundation, which was with good intentions. We should not ignore this, but like every other thing in Africa, it has been opened to abuse. I think it needs to be brought to an end, just like every other culture that doesn't fit in the 21st century reality. Because you, like I said earlier on in the show today, in other countries, you have a foster system, right? You have children who get into the foster system, who have adults, parents, adults who are not their biological parents, taking care of them. Now, in some countries, there are reports of abuses, right? You have, the foster parent abusing the children in their care, and the system hears about it, and the system takes those children and sends them to another foster parent. They keep rotating them around until they find a good fit for the children, just until the children are old enough to take care of themselves. But in situations like that, the ideal is for the child to be treated like the children in your house. So if you want to know whether I'm talking about you, simple exercise. The child taking care of your child. If your child, for some reason, and you can God forbid all you want, but life happens, If your child, for some reason, finds themselves in the house of somebody else because you cannot take care of them anymore, would you want them to face the things that the child in your house is facing? The exact same things, no modification, same school, same treatment, same everything that the child in your house is currently facing. Would you want that? Would you endorse it? Would you be happy if you heard that was happening to your child? I'll leave you with that. Tomorrow, let's talk about Magu, shall we? 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. tomorrow. I'm going to have Dennis Amakri on the show, and we're going to talk about Magu's problems. They seem to be increasing by the day. On Wednesday at 5, we're going to talk about the scandals rocking the NDDC. We talked about that on today's Big Three. These two stories, they were on the Big Three today. So tomorrow at 5, we'll talk some more about Magu. And Wednesday at 5, we'll talk some more about the NDDC. I've got great stuff coming your way. We'll bring you the Big Three, as always, tomorrow. But right now, I'm handing you over to Rufai for conversations with Rufai. I'm on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Ezekwesili. That's what I am online, Ezekwesili. And then, of course, there's our website where you can listen every single day to every single show. We are nigeriainfo.fm online. Until tomorrow, Lagos, those are your hard facts. Good night.
The news. Timely, fresh as it breaks on 99.3 Nigeria Info.